Welcome to the worst of the best podcast. You wanted the best. Well, they didn't freaking make it! So here's what you get. From Canada, Ryan and
Jason. Welcome to another episode of the Worst of the Best podcast. I am your host, Ryan, and with me today, of course, is my brother, Jason. Jason is, before he says hello, I'll just say for our watching audience, if you haven't been watching, I guess our listening audience too, Jason's voice and or camera works a little bit off because he's in transition. You're in the middle of a move. So that's partly why I just moved. And now Jason's moving, so it's partly why we've been off the air for a little bit. Jason, you're in a transition house, is that right?
Yeah. Basically, a couple of weeks ago, I had to leave where I was living. And then now my new place that I'll be moving into won't be available until August 16th. So 90% of my life is in a storage locker, and the other 10% is here. I'm living out of a suitcase for a little bit. So I tried to find my microphone last night in the storage unit. I thought I knew where it was. I could not spot it. So here we are. I'm on my iPhone. No proper AirPod connections was working, and my microphone is somewhere missing for the moment. So anyway, bear with me. I'm going to try and speak clearly into the microphone and hope it picks up okay.
It's picking up okay, not bad at all. Like I've listened to a lot of podcasts in my life, podcasters that they're professional podcasters, but they'll have like guests come on and they'll zoom in or whatever, and you sound better than 50% of those guests where they'll come there. Like I don't like some of them are like celebrities, people with actual money. I'm always surprised who doesn't just have a proper mic setup. Of course, yeah. So welcome everyone to the show. This is where Jason and I, or whatever co-host I have with me at the time, we will give you a list of things that are the best of or top of, so to speak, and then we share what those things are as we go through the list. The order is in no particular order, and then at the end, independent of each other, without revealing our answer until the end, Jason and then myself will pick what we think is the worst thing of the best. Today's topic is busting science myths. So these are basically things that people used to really believe in and or still do, actually. And Jason and I are going to debunk some of that stuff today. That's our goal, or that's our hope. There's 8 things. We did have 10, but there was 2 that we knocked off. I'm not even going to mention what they are. They're not even worth mentioning. Jason and I had a company meeting, and we knocked 2 of them off because they were just, I think these remaining 8, Jason, are ones that people know about, talk about, may even subscribe to. We're going to see if at the end of the show, if we can convince anyone of what they think is a myth. Jay, so what do you want the criteria to be? Basically, these are things that people think, oh, this is how you're supposed to do it, but we're going to tell you otherwise. Do you think which one's the worst offender, maybe? Or which one do you think is like a whatever myth, like who cares? Why is this even on the list type thing? It was kind of why we knocked the other 2 off, mind you, but...
Yeah, actually, I hadn't really... I was so focused on gathering the information and streamlining it. What would be the criteria?
I think it might be the one that's the worst offender. How about we say the one that has caused the worst damage to either a psyche or body, or something, meaning like this is something we shouldn't have done. Isn't it great that we're debunking it?
Or it's the worst because it's not really a myth. It's not really something that people are just kind of shrug their shoulders at, maybe.
Well, why don't we go through the list and maybe we'll have an idea.
As we go, I'm sure we'll decide how we want to approach it.
Sure,
fair enough. The first one is yoga. So some people think that yoga is easy and safe exercise compared to other workouts. They believe it's a gentle activity. It's like, oh, it looks kind of wimpy and kind of... Yep. Not a big deal, doesn't really do anything. But there's actually a lot of proof to support this belief. But studies found that yoga can cause injuries just like sports-related activities. Surprisingly, there's a study, about 21% of the injuries got worse. So somebody's previous injuries got worse because of doing yoga. This means that yoga is not as easy and safe as some people think. Even though many people with joint or pain issues try yoga to feel better, it's important to do it with a professional instructor, or maybe within a class that they can help you, understand your, what do they call it, like an alternative to the pose. But then also on the flip side, a lot of people have found benefit, that their injuries may get worse, but some people find that it doesn't. I don't know. Have you ever tried yoga, Ryan?
Yeah, legit. I have. I did for a while there. Diamond Dallas's Page
That's
yoga.
what I'm thinking of when they're talking about injuries or people improving on their health.
And that was just it. So I don't know if it's just his yoga or the moves that he tells you, because his is, it used to be called not your mother's yoga or something like that. The idea being that, yoga is particularly for females usually, but this big burly men of wrestling. Basically, for him, his experience was he had a back injury. He was told he'll never wrestle again. He did yoga, of course, properly with whatever instructors that he could pay for and have. They created a program, a regime for him that he wanted to give to other people, and it helped his back. And people have subscribed to his yoga and have had their injuries resolved and become stronger. So I know with his yoga, what I liked about it, and it's something I probably will go back to again one day because I really do like it. Yoga worked for me for strength, just like core strength is a big thing. But I can see, however, ... There would be times I was doing yoga and the moves and some of these obviously more complicated moves where, if you're not careful, if you're not doing it properly, it's a very easy, because it's slow. People think you can injure yourself. You think of basketball and football, whatever, the fast impact injuries. Yeah, if you turn, twist, and pull, you can definitely injure yourself. So I can see people aggravating an injury by not doing it properly. I would still subscribe. I'm part of the 80% where I would still think it's worth doing. Now, this where I'm leaning towards. So to me, this is not a myth worth breaking, I guess you could say. There you go. So this is not my pick. Yoga is low impact. That's the thing. It is low impact. However, don't confuse low impact with, that's like, I'm talking about actual gravity impact, like when you're running or lifting weights type thing. But you can still cause injury. So you have to be careful. I think it's a cautionary tale. Maybe it's a better way of saying it.
Sure. Yeah. 21% of people, that's a significant amount of people that can.
That's right. So 100 people do an exercise to get better, and 20 of those 100, their injuries got worse.
Yeah.
So it's a bit of a gamble.
Yeah.
That's the other myth of yoga, is that it's easy. I think that's the other part of this. Yoga isn't easy. It is a good workout, but do so with caution.
I've never really done it. I'm horrible. Like, I have zero flexibility.
Jason, see, now we're gonna get DDP on you because that's what he's here for. That's what he tells you.
Yes, there will be a sales pitch as to why I should participate to help with the flexibility, but I sadly don't have the patience.
Okay, fair. This week's episode brought to you by DDP Yoga.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, good stuff. Off to a good start. Yeah, see, I'm glad we kept that one because that discussion is perfect for what we had in mind. All right, this one, knuckle cracking. So once upon a time in California, Jason, Donald Unger defied his mother's belief that knuckle cracking leads to arthritis. So with unwavering determination, he embarked on a personal experiment spanning 60 years. Unger cracked the knuckles on his left hand twice daily while leaving his right hand untouched. In 2009, he was awarded the IG Nobel Prize for groundbreaking research that debunked the myth. His findings were further supported by subsequent studies. Although experts caution against excessive knuckle cracking due to potential side effects such as diminished grip strength and swelling, Unger's remarkable journey serves as a concrete evidence that the long-held belief about knuckle cracking causes arthritis is indeed a fallacy. He got a prize for this, that knuckle cracking does not cause arthritis. Now, before we get to this, well, we'll talk about it. My son Jackson has taken up this habit, and I don't know where he got it from. I hate it. I hate the sound of it. It gives me nails on a chalkboard reaction.
Really?
I can't stand bone cracking. And my wife, she cracks her neck and she'll pop and crack it right next to me on the couch. I've had to learn not to be upset, but she gets offended by me being upset, It's, which is weird. I equate cracking your neck or knuckles in front of someone the same as like burping and breathing. It's gross. I don't want to hear it. The body popping and cracking. I just don't want to hear it. So I admit, when we compiled this list, knuckle cracking tricked me. I thought it did cause damage, but it appears that it just doesn't.
How old is Jackson again? 10, 11?
11, yeah. So he just started like this year.
Yeah. So probably around this age, I started cracking my knuckles. I don't know if you remember me doing that.
I used to do it too. There was a time that I used to do it and I stopped because I thought it was going to injure me. So I think somebody told me and I believed it. Now I can't stand it. Sorry, go ahead.
And I don't know why I had stopped. Maybe it was a combination of a belief. I just fell out of practice of doing that. So maybe he will as well.
I told him not to do it around me. Yeah, I know it's your body, your choice type thing, but I said just don't do it around me. I don't want to hear it.
The neck cracking, like that kind of like, I'm not really a fan of the look. But I would have believed, and I think I did believe, that eventually it would cause damage. That is a myth, air quote, a myth. And I would think that, one person's experience about cracking their knuckles over,
But it was backed up with other studies, though. They did other studies. Like, this is one guy who did it for 60 years. It has been investigated further. It's not just him. He got the prize
Right.
for initiating it, but further studies have shown that there is no direct evidence to any kind of arthritis via knuckle cracking.
It's funny, as we were talking, I had my hands down and I kind of did this.
Oh, we've all done that.
But I'm not going out of my way to go.
No, that's the thing. If I pop it, because as I get older too, I'll pop a knee. Like, that will happen. It does feel a little bit better. I get it, because you're like, okay, that was. In fact, when I'm driving a long distance and I got my left foot hovering over the brake pedal in that area, whatever, I'll then stretch my leg after, like, oh yeah, pop, pop, and I kind of know it's coming. It doesn't bother me. So maybe I'm being a hypocrite, but I don't go out of my way to look forward to popping it, but I recognize my body when it needs to be done, and that's what Becky will tell me.
Do you pop your ankles? I pull my, like, if this is my foot and I kind of push the feet down, there's like a release that I do on occasion. So
yeah,
when you're feeling that release, but I'm not sure the younger 9, 10, 11 years old, when they realize, I can pop my knuckles, doing that nonstop.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it's the same thing as, you're popping a shoulder or a knee or an ankle. I don't know if it's the same thing.
But knuckle cracking, it's a myth. That's a legit myth that has been debunked, and we're debunking it. That's what we're doing today, folks. We're telling you. We're giving you the truth. Yeah. So the myth with yoga is that it's easy and light. That's not true. It's actually not easy, and it can still damage you. It's still prone to be injured if you don't do it properly. And knuckle cracking does not cause arthritis. So there you go. All right, what's next one, Jay?
So we're going to talk about sport drinks. So hydration during workouts has been a long-standing practice, and water is no longer the sole option. However, there have been myths surrounding hydration that are worth debunking. In the 70s, athletes were advised to avoid fluids before games to prevent sluggishness, a notion that has since been discarded in favor of proper hydration. Sport drink companies like Gatorade and Powerade have flooded the market with claims of superior hydration and performance enhancement compared to water alone. Yet it's important to recognize their marketing strategies at play. These drinks often contain excessive amounts of sugar while offering minimal proven health benefits. Studies consistently demonstrate that listening to your body's natural thirst mechanism and drinking water when needed optimizes performance and ensures adequate hydration. While you don't need to rely solely on water, treating your sugary performance.
You don't have to just drink water, but sugary performance enhancing beverages, don't indulge in it. Drink more water. That's all.
Right. While you don't rely solely on water now, an occasional sugary drink, they're fine. Like, it could be a good thing. In conclusion, sport drink marketing may be persuasive, but their effectiveness remains questionable. Prioritizing water intake based on thirst signals is still considered the best approach for staying properly hydrated during physical activity.
Basically, Gatorade with all the commercials and or the Red Bull or whatever, these energy sport drinks, like whatever, Monster, pre-workouts, all this stuff. At the end of the day, to stay properly hydrated throughout the day as per normal, whether you're working out or sports or not. And then when you're thirsty, when you're doing your shift on a basketball court, drink some water and go back out there and do it again. The things that Gatorade provides actually doesn't help you hydrate more or give you more energy, or the sense of it doesn't enhance your performance. That's a marketing ploy by companies. But this is also saying, sure, you're getting yourself hydration, but if you're thirsty, basically drink water. Humans have been drinking water long before sports drinks ever existed. When we were hunter-gatherers chasing the buffalo and chasing the dinosaurs and trying to get our meals, they drank water to the lake, folks, and that's how they hydrated. They didn't have sports drinks. Okay, we survived.
So the only thing I have to add to this, because I've kind of done some deep dives into hydration, is all the sugars and vitamins and everything that they add to the hydration drinks isn't what helps hydrate you. It's obviously water,
yes,
but the incorporation of salt
I
and
see what
sodium is actually required. And it's like the sodium content is almost as important to just water in and of itself, especially when you're sweating a lot, because you are sweating out the minerals out of your body. Sometimes even just a pinch of salt is just as effective in hydrating. You're not, oh, I need water. What you need is often the sodium to help rehydrate your body. So water in general is a healthy thing to have. And this idea that you have to drink X amount of glasses a day or, ounces a day, that's also a myth. So I like this as they talk about, like, use your body's internal, like, oh, do I feel thirsty? And then take a drink. X amount of glasses in order to be hydrated. If you don't feel, but when you're like strenuously exercising, you're on a big hike and it's like 30 degrees, I'm going to say 35 degrees Celsius, whatever that is in Fahrenheit, pretty hot, and you're sweating a lot. Or if you're working outside and you're doing physical activities or you're on a construction site, water with salt being added to it is important more than all the sugars and everything else that they're adding to it.
Listen to your body. You should know yourself best. I'm one of these people, like, I'll jog. I almost jog daily. I was just jogging today in 30 plus degree Celsius. It was basically almost 100 Fahrenheit weather. I have no problem jogging in the heat. I'm sweating like crazy. I am not dehydrated. My body's going to need hydration when I'm done, but I'm one of those people that I go a long time in the heat and sweat, and it doesn't bother me. I don't.
Me as well.
Yeah.
And in some ways that might be, for whatever reason, our adaptations, our genetics allow us to do that. But that doesn't mean we're maybe underhydrated either.
My body retains water, but I don't know what it is. I'm not parched. It's very rarely in my life have I ever been parched.
Right.
It's an odd feeling. I very rarely have had the need to chug water because I'm so thirsty.
I worked outside basically up until a couple of years ago. I was physically active, construction, landscaping, everything else outside. And I can go long periods of time just sweating buckets all day long and not feel dehydrated, but maybe I was dehydrated. Optimally, I was probably dehydrated. But for whatever reason, I didn't feel the needs to, I need to drink a ton. I mean, there is the concern if you drink a lot of water and you're sweating a ton, you can actually flush out minerals faster than you're replenishing them. And that can be a dangerous thing. I forget the exact word, but like marathoners, if they're drinking a lot of water without replenishing the minerals, it can be a very dangerous condition.
No, I hear that. That makes sense.
Yeah.
This is a while back. It was Logan. He's in his 20s now, but when he was a kid or whatever, he's like, Dad, is there such a thing as you can drink too much water? And I said, yeah, it's called drowning. All right. Next one. Sleepwalking. Have you ever known anyone, Jason? Have you ever seen anyone sleepwalk? Have you sleptwalk?
I don't think I ever have. Like, actually get up and walk around and do something. And
I'm too much of a light sleeper. Here's the myth about sleepwalking. So sleepwalking, or I'm not going to pronounce this word. The technical term is somnambulism. Did I get that right? Is a fascinating phenomenon where individuals unconsciously engage in activities while asleep. Now, you probably have heard stories. There's people who have committed murder in their sleep.
Wasn't that convenient?
Yeah, they gotten off. There's people, of course, who have done other things in their sleep. But
where they get off too?
They got off too, yeah. So among the myths, though, surrounding sleepwalking is the belief that waking a sleepwalker could have fatal consequences, such as a heart attack. However, scientific research has debunked this notion. Experts in sleep medicine confirm that millions of sleepwalking incidents occur each year without any reported fatalities resulting from awakening. While waking a sleepwalker may not lead to sudden death, it is important to exercise caution due to the potential confusion and even violence upon waking in an unfamiliar environment. Sleep specialists recommend intervening if a sleepwalker is at risk of engaging in dangerous activities, of course, like cooking or venturing onto the street. Otherwise, gently guiding them back to the bed is considered the safest approach. Rest assured, there's no need for concern about causing harm by waking someone who is sleepwalking. So there you go. So if you're somebody sleepwalking, basically, they're not going to get a startled heart attack any more than they would if you just woke them up while they're sleeping. They just happen to be walking and sleeping. But just make sure they're safe. Wake them up and or make sure they're safe. Have you ever seen anyone sleepwalk?
No. I don't think I've ever known of anybody. I mean, I've had myself, like, kind of like dreams combined. Like I've kicked a hole in the wall once in my sleep.
How about sleep talking? Have you ever?
Yeah, I think I did put my my toe through the wall. Anyway, I know I've
Yeah.
kicked the wall. Get moments like that. I've punched the bed or whatever. And you kind of startle yourself awake. That's
But
kind
it's
of,
kind of one of those things that if you're a sleepwalker or you're not. I think it's
yeah,
something-
like I don't think I've found myself,
I think my
outside
son, one of
walking
my
down the
sons,
street.
sort of is. Jackson sort of is.
Oh, wow. Jackson pops his knuckles.
Yeah, he's
Knuckles?
Jackson. It's the Jacksonville episode. Yeah, knuckle cracker, sleepwalker. I don't think he truly sleepwalks, but he's done things where like I don't think he's awake. He's one of those
Right.
like talks to you. He'll wake up and he'll move around his room a little bit and then go back. I've seen it where it's like, all right, what's the next one?
The space pen. Now, I have heard about the space pen.
Yes.
Have you?
There was an episode on Seinfeld. I know you didn't watch Seinfeld, but there's a famous episode on Seinfeld where Jerry is trying to get this, or he gets it as a gift, a pen that writes upside down from someone who had a space pen. It wrote up. You could write it upside down. His parents got mad at him for taking the pen from somebody, but it was given to him as a gift. And that was, it was this very Seinfeldian. But the idea of that episode was, yes, an upside down writing pen. So a space pen. Yeah.
What kind of pen is that?
This pen? Yeah. Oh, this is an astronaut pen. It writes upside down. They use this in space.
Oh, wow, that's the astronaut pen. I heard about that. Where did you get it?
That was a gift.
Because a lot of times I write in bed, and I have to turn and lean on my elbow to make the pen work.
Take the pen.
Oh, no. Go ahead. I couldn't.
Come on, take the pen.
I can't take it.
Do me a personal favor.
No, I'm not
Take
comfortable.
the pen.
I cannot take it.
Take the pen.
Are you sure?
I'm positive. Take the pen.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. Gee, boy.
Jack, what are you doing?
Stop
Jack,
it.
we should go. It was nice meeting you.
Nice to meet you.
Thanks again, Jack.
She's adorable. What'd you take his pen for?
What? He gave it to me.
You didn't have to take it.
Oh, my God. She's got to make a big deal out of everything.
He offered it to me.
Because you made such a big fuss about it.
I liked it. Should I have said I didn't like it?
You shouldn't have said anything. What do you expect him to do?
We could have said thank you. I like it too, and put it back in his pocket.
He loves that pen.
Oh, come on.
He talks about it all the time. Every time he takes it out, he goes on and on about how it writes upside down, how the astronauts use
If
it.
he likes it so much, he never should have offered it.
He didn't think he'd accept.
Well, he was wrong.
So, NASA has been the subject of various myths and legends over the years, including the popular story about $1 million space pen. What's funny now is the $1 million space pen. What would that cost be today? The $10 million, like $1 million,
Probably 4 to 5 million.
Now, this tale is often used to criticize NASA's spending habits during the space race era. The narrative goes that American astronauts needed a pen that could write in weightless conditions, leading NASA to spend millions on developing the specialized tool, while the Soviets simply used pencils. The truth, however, is quite different. Space pens do exist, but they were actually created by a private company called the Fisher Pen Company. They invested approximately $1 million of their own money into the research and development of these pens. NASA didn't provide any funding, but they did purchase hundreds of these pens in 1967 for about $2.40 each.
$2.50 each for the pens. Yeah.
Interestingly, 2 years later, the Soviets also acquired these space pens for similar reasons, ensuring safety by eliminating pencil tips that could break off and damage vital electronic equipment.
Yeah. Good point. Yeah.
While it's true that $1 million was spent on research and development for these pens, it was not funded by NASA, nor did they pay such an exorbitant amount per pen. Purchasing highly specialized pens capable of writing in zero gravity for just a few dollars each seems like a reasonable deal. While there are many myths surrounding NASA's history, including the space pen, separating fact from fiction reveals a more nuanced reality behind these stories.
So it's kind of a situation where a real life thing, and someone around the coffee break room, did you hear NASA spending $1 million on pen?
Right.
And then it went to, yeah, they spent $1 million on a pen. But long story short, $1 million was spent on pen research, and then NASA bought those pens from that company, and life goes on.
Right.
I could see how that became a fishtail, so to speak, or
Well, it is the Fisher Pen Company,
yeah.
but they're still around, eh? I feel like I've seen that name before.
It's
I
called
think they're
Fisher
still around.
Pen.
The Fisher Pen Company, the company that made the pen.
Yeah, Fisher Space Pens are available on Amazon.
Oh, really?
You can buy them. Let's just take a look at the image
How
here.
much? $2.40?
They market it as the Fisher Space Pen. So on Amazon, they're really sleek looking pens, but they're anywhere from $34 to $65. $75 one here. So they're between $30 and $70, up to $200.
So they've probably made their $1 million back
Oh, easily. Yeah,
with their claim that the pen that was required to go to space.
Right. Now people use it at their desks, and I bet you there's people in NASA that have them as a pen.
Yeah.
It's a novelty thing. Yeah, good for them. Good for Fisher Space Pens. Good for them. Now, this is another one I know you're going to have an opinion on, but before you share it, let me talk about stretching. So, Jason, there's a common belief that stretching before a workout brings various benefits, but this has been challenged by recent research. Yeah. Contrary to popular belief, studies have now shown that stretching before exercise can hinder athletic performance and does not necessarily reduce the risk of injury. In fact, there is evidence suggesting that stretching cold and tight muscles might even increase the likelihood of getting injured during physical activity. These findings have led experts to reconsider the traditional notion of pre-workout stretching as beneficial. Now, I know you work out. I do a lot of running. As a runner now, I've been running for at least 25 years. 25 years of solid running. I have never stretched before, never stretched after. I don't do a cool down. I don't do a warm up. I literally go hit. I run for 5-7 kilometers, and then I stop, and that's it. I've been doing that for 25 years.
Well, if you think of it, if you want to think of evolutionarily speaking, do you think the hunters of our past, our ancestors hunting the mammoth, was like, hey, before we go on this hunt and chase these mammoths down and bring them, and slaughter them, are they actually doing stretches? Because they didn't want to hurt them.
No. Yeah, I know that we're talking about the hunter-gatherer of humans with the water. They drink water to hydrate. Okay, grog. Time to stretch.
You can't go on the hunt with us. You didn't do your stretching. And we noticed last time that you didn't do a cool down when we came back to camp. Actually, going back to the water, one point I did want to make is if you think about the water that they're drinking out of lakes, they're probably built-in minerals. There's built-in
minerals. Yeah, for sure.
Uncontaminated, coming through the rocks and everything else. There would be salt and minerals built into the water that they drink naturally. Not like all our water that has to be chlorinated and then filtered because it's got crap in it.
Just this past month, or like last month, when we traveled across Canada to a new place, we stopped at a park with glacier water, and had all the kids drink from the lake or drink from the river. Right, there's like rocks right underneath. They're kind of amazed, like, yeah, kids, like you have to live you can't go your life not experiencing this. You just cup your hands and drink that water. That's nature's water. There's something running water from a glacier. There's nothing fresher in the world.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So going back to the stretching, yes, this is something I have heard more recently coming out, in conversations regarding exercising, is that stretching does hurt or can increase, and I don't know about the percentages.
Right.
For most people, it probably won't make a difference because, let's be honest, most of us don't exercise at a level that we'd be hurt anyways. The other thing is I'm not sure if you do cold showers or cold plunges, but I do. 90% of every morning, I will do a cold shower.
Cool.
And I've been doing that for, I think, since the end of January this year. And now it feels weird to go in a shower and not do that. Often we think of cold plunges. This is another myth that we're not going to discuss, but cold plunges are to be done after your exercise. You see the football players and they dunk their bodies in the ice baths after. But they're showing that cold plunges after exercise will decrease the impact or the benefits. Sorry, it will decrease the benefits of exercise because your body requires acute inflammation and start that process of healing, like when the micro tears in your muscles, and then it builds back up. But if you take away the inflammation, you're taking away the body's natural response to the damage. And so by having an ice bath after may reduce what's the percentages. I don't know. I'm not an elite athlete, so it probably won't make that much of a difference for me. Taking a cold shower or a nice plunge before you exercise is showing to be more beneficial.
Okay.
Interesting. Another myth, like I would always think you do it afterwards to reduce the pain and blah, blah, blah. And if you do an ice bath after exercise, they say wait about 3 hours so that you have the initial inflammation response and rebuilding. So to go along with the stretching, that kind of, it seems.
I'm ahead of the curve. I did this. I never stretched before. I just did it because I was lazy. It turns out I did the right thing.
Intuitively, Ryan. Intuitively.
Yeah, that's right. I listen to my body.
Into our Neanderthal caveman ancestors. And
and that might be true. I just I don't get it. I should be able to run. I should be able to run.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I do, and I don't stretch. Okay. We do have a kind of off-topic question, but I want to recognize people who actually watch us live while we do this live. So this is Joel from our YouTube channel. He goes, you guys ever heard of the whistleblower David Grush?
Oh, yeah.
Well, the USA apparently has a number of crashed non-human vehicles. I guess he's referring to our space pen talk. Crashed non-human vehicles that we have been trying to reverse engineer for over 80 years now. Yeah, Joel. I kind of keep on top of that stuff too as a fun hobby, listening and keeping on top of that stuff. Jason, you've heard of it too, but we won't, of course, tangent on that. But what we can do is on a future episode, I think we haven't talked about space stuff in a while. Maybe we'll do some sort of space top 10 alien or crashes or myths or something about space.
Well, it's funny that Las Vegas one that just came out, where they apparently recorded something in their backyard. You heard of that one, Ryan?
Yeah.
And it just disappeared. It was popular for about a week and a half. And there was some ambiguity about.
Right.
And then it just, no definitive, I don't know, were they doxxed?
All right. Yeah, interesting stuff. All fascinating stuff. I don't know. We'll maybe think of a UFO / something episode in the future there, Jay, for sure. The listeners want it. Okay. This one almost got knocked off the list, but I thought this would be an interesting one because it's
I
one
have heard of this. I have heard of this one.
Okay. So bumblebees, Jay. In the 1930s, there was a French scientist named Antoine Magnon claimed that bees shouldn't be able to fly due to their body size and wing proportions. It is funny. It is kind of like if you look at a big bumblebee in general, how do those things lift off? Those little wings seem very flimsy. Over time, this myth evolved to suggest that scientists believed bees defied the laws of physics when flying. However, this is not true. Bees do follow the principles of physics, but in their own unique way. At the time when Magnon made his claim, there was limited understanding of insect flight mechanics. His calculations were based on assumptions about bees having smooth and rigid wings, which they don't actually possess. Bees have specialized wings with grooves and employ other evolutionary adaptations that allow them to generate lift and take flight without violating physical laws. While bumblebees may not be the most aerodynamically efficient flyers, they are still capable of flying using specific wing movements, shape, and speed. Therefore, it's important, Jason, that we dispel the persistent myth that suggests otherwise. Bees indeed adhere to fundamental principles of physics when it comes to their flight abilities.
I have heard this, that, somehow, I'm thinking it was bees did not follow. We don't know how they do it, but they do. But, back in the 30s when this started, our ability to slow motion, watching a bee probably in the way their wings move and work, and how would they ever be able to see that? You couldn't pick it up with the technology they had back then and then be able to properly analyze how it works.
You ever heard the term bee's knees?
Yeah.
Do you know why that term exists, or why that saying exists, I should say?
No.
You're the bee's knees, Jay. This podcast is the bee's knees. Well, this is my understanding. The reason why is because when bees fly flower to flower to get pollen, they collect it in the crook of their knees behind their legs. That's where the good stuff is. You're the bee's knees.
Mm-hmm. Is that a myth that we have to?
Yeah, I think it's true.
That a true reason why?
Well, they're not. They are collecting pollen. They're not putting it on their wings.
It's on the little fibers and stuff on their legs.
So it's on their legs. The hooks on their legs. Yeah. It looks like the knees. So that's why it's called the bee's knees.
Okay.
Yeah. You ever heard the one? Don't look a gift horse in the mouth. You know what the meaning of that one is? Okay. I like that one.
Oh, but I don't know why.
Oh, okay.
Well, I've heard of it.
We should do our top 10. What do you call these?
Sayings?
Metaphorical sayings or whatever, analogy sayings. So don't look a gift horse in the mouth. What this means, so you've been gifted a horse. So think in the olden times, right? You're on a farm and your neighbor says, "Hey, Jay, you want this horse?" Well, sure there, partner. Let me look it in the mouth. Now, the reason why you look a horse in the mouth is to see how old it is. You can tell by the teeth how old a horse is. So if someone's giving you a free horse, just take it regardless of the age. Don't look at it in the mouth. Just take the horse.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. People will probably find that more interesting than the topics we're talking about. All right, this last one, Jay. This last one is this is definitely a myth. I think everyone has heard of. Why don't
Yes.
you end it with this one?
All right, the Twinkie. The Twinkie, a soft and squishy treat, was once believed to have an incredibly long shelf life of 25 years or more, and even survive a nuclear disaster. While there is some truth to the extended freshness of Twinkies compared to other baked goods, due to the absence of dairy products, they are not indestructible. Twinkies contain a combination of ingredients, including chemical substitutes for milk and butter, but also flour, oil, sugar, and small amounts of real egg. Over time, they will eventually spoil like any other food item. Recent scientific testing revealed mold inside 8-year-old Twinkies that were sealed in plastic wrappers. Therefore, it's important to enjoy Twinkies within their intended expiration date, as they are not immune to deterioration, despite the extended shelf life reputation. Let's say that scientific testing reveals mold within an 8-year-old Twinkie.
Right.
But that was probably a pre-contaminated ingredients from the factory, right? It's not 100%.
Could be.
But if you could somehow put all those ingredients together, sealed in the bag,
right,
and all those ingredients that were sealed in the bag were not in any way contaminated with a fungus, or if those ingredients are mixed together without being pre-contaminated, if there was some way to have them uncontaminated ingredients 100%. Like there's bacteria in there because the ingredients that were mixed together had bacteria or something already contaminating the ingredients. But if you were some way able to protect the ingredients that are being mixed and they're 100% uncontaminated, and then you seal that 100% uncontaminated ingredients within a plastic bag, I would think it would last longer than 8 years.
Sure, fair enough. What I like is that there's some guy who's like, okay, who opens up the 1-year Twinkies? Not bad.
Yeah, I mean,
if you keep going to 2-year Twinkie, all right, 3-year Twinkie, you know.
And the fact that they use ingredients that are stable, like they don't really use milk, and they don't use like real. Is
a little bit of real egg. A little bit of real egg. It said though.
Yeah, a little bit. That's why they are able to last as long as they do, and they probably look fresh as long as they do. 25 years, I don't know about that, but it's because they're not really using food the way that you and I might think of what food is. It is edible and probably tastes okay.
Well, this is a tough list because so basically what we've done today, folks, is we've given you myths that people thought, basically like every myth or legend, people used to think they were science. That's the idea. These are science myths. These are myths that were once considered science. Now, Jason, we have to decide which one of these 8 is the worst. What's the criteria? This is a weird one to have a criteria. I think a better show planner would have figured this out. I know what I'm going to do for me. This is maybe a bit of a cop-out, but I don't mean it to be a cop-out. For example, there's some myths, i.e. the myth of stretching before and after, not doing anything, makes me happy that that's not true. I'm like, yes! So it's not the worst. That's a myth that I'm glad is debunked, or I'm happy that it's debunked because I'm a supporter of not stretching. Okay, so I'm going to go with whatever I think is the least yes. The worst yes. Like either I'm indifferent / or even sad that it's been debunked.
An indifference. For me, it'll be an indifference. Like
I think so too, because none of these are. I'm not emotionally behind any of these per se as much. Well, I am about the knuckle cracking. That's another yes. Or is that? See, that one's tough because I might be. See, there you go. I kind of gave mine away. I'm kind of teetering on knuckle cracking because just like with the stretching, I'm like, yes, I was right not to stretch. And now with the knuckle cracking, I actually can't use that against my son or my wife about the bone cracking that's going to cause arthritis. You know, I can't lie to them. Science has shown it's not a problem. It's just something I have to learn to be around. Like it's my problem, not their problem. I say knuckle cracking is my worst pick because it is the thing. Oh, we go through the list real quick here, just for memory purposes. There's yoga, knuckle cracking, sports drinks, sleepwalking, space pen, stretching, bumblebee wings, and Twinkies. The one that upsets me the most, that has been debunked because I can't use this against my loved ones. There you go.
Wow, you're petty.
I know. No kidding.
So I say the bumblebees.
Yeah, that's the most boring.
The reasoning for that is, my reasoning is, obviously they have to follow the rules of physics in order for it to work. And secondly, when the idea that, oh my goodness, they defy physics, you didn't have the proper technology to measure, identify how it is that they did what they do.
Right.
in the 1930s, when the myth kind of started to take shape and gain momentum, it wasn't until technology caught up with the ability to properly measure and identify how it is that it works. So for me, it's just like you just didn't know and you just didn't have a way to identify how it happened. But obviously, it has to follow physics.
Yeah. Good
It's the only
point.
way it would work.
Good point. All right. I like it. This was fun. Another fun episode. We've done a couple fun ones in a row. I think the next, what I mean by fun, light topics. I think the next one might have to be, I would say darker, but maybe we've done a couple fun ones. We do owe ourselves a music one. We've got a couple ideas coming up
Yeah.
regarding the music one. Remember, in front of every silver lining, there's a cloud. And today it was knuckle cracking, being debunked, and for myself, and then for Jason, it was the flight of the bumblebee.